I am not convinced that we have reached the pinnacle of our evolution. Now, before I continue, I want to say that it's late, I'm tired, I'm up way past my quote unquote bedtime, and there's people sleeping here, so I'm going to try to make this one short. But I am in no way, shape, or form convinced that we have reached the pinnacle of our evolution, ladies and gentlemen. You see, with all of these cell phones and these smart gadgets, we've kind of given ourselves over to kind of a transhumanistic way of thinking. We've adopted a lot of these kind of technologically based ideologies in the sense that we think that we need AI and we need all of these almost hyper complicated technologies to progress forward, all the while forgetting that nature has many mysteries that we have yet to uncover as a species. Well, not as a species, but here in the United States, most of us are not privy to the shamanic reality or nature of nature. So we live in a conditioned state of mind, ladies and gentlemen, that I like to call the Matrix. And I call it the Matrix because in a way a matrix is kind of excuse me, Jesus, I guess I am tired. I refer to it as the Matrix because in the films The Matrix, Neo lives in a world that is not the truth. And that's what many of us are doing right now. We are living in a world while all the while not aware of the truth of reality, the truth of nature, the truth of our shamanic connection to nature. So it's a huge problem. We are absolutely, undoubtedly disconnected from the source codes, ladies and gentlemen. We are disconnected from the Kundalini energy, and the Kundalini energy is what naturally connects us to our higher selves. It connects us to God. It's basically the original blueprint. We are designed to be in connection, in complete gnosis, in complete connectivity to the source. I choose to call that God. I often refer to it as gnosis, the heightening of the consciousness, the elevating of the consciousness into the realms of light, the realms of truth. So, I've experienced Kundalini on a handful of occasions, and it's rewired the way I look at the world, and it's allowed me to kind of step back from my old way of thinking, my old trajectory in life, and I've been able to disconnect from the trajectory of my old self, if that makes sense. So most of us, ladies and gentlemen, we get born here, we're born in innocence, and we take on a lot of the troubles of the world. We are thrown into situations which throw us off kilter as we get older, and suddenly we fall into our lower selves, and now we are disconnected from our innocence and our childhood awe. And we slowly, as we get older, not all of us, but many of us, get hardened by life, and we get taken off course, and now we live in the trajectory of the lower self instead of the trajectory of the higher self. You see, in a perfect world, we wouldn't have been born into all of this insanity here in this world. Now, I'm not going to talk about the insanity in this world. I refer to it, or I talk about it plenty in my other videos, but I am going to say, ladies and gentlemen, that this world gets the best of many people. It takes people and it disassembles them. Depression, anxiety, suicide, guilt complexes, weight issues, diabetes, pathologies, cancers, sicknesses, STDs. These are not the types of things that you see in an enlightened arena, an enlightened world. The fact that there is so much suffering currently in this world shows us that we are in a current state of disharmony. The harmony is not in alignment, ladies and gentlemen. Now, we can look at this in a couple of different ways. We can continue going down this shit-eater, bottom-feeder path, as I like to call it, or we can grasp onto something bigger and change our current situation into something great. This is the basic principle of alchemy, ladies and gentlemen, to take one thing in its crude state and evolve it into an exalted state. To give you a comparison, we can look at distilled water. You're taking tap water, for instance. You're boiling it. There's all of this chaos going on in the boil chamber. Steam is rising and condensing up a coil, and all the heavy impurities that were in the tap water are too heavy to rise with the pure steam. and they stay in the boil kettle. The steam condenses, goes into through the coil, ladies and gentlemen, and drops down into a collection vessel, and it's pure, clean H2O, nothing else. So you've taken a crude substance, and I call it crude because most tap water is filled full of bullshit, and you've turned it into something pure, something pristine. Right now, we're in the boil kettle here on Earth, ladies and gentlemen.